The Subanen of Lapuyan, here, believe they are protected by 7 giants. The 6th guardian spirit is Baga, the guardian giant of animals and wild flowers. So Baga is actually the giant that is seen most by the Subanen, and so there are a lot more accounts about him. I might have to do another video or two just to say all the interesting stories about him. So Baga lives in a waterfall. He is said to be the tallest of all the guardian giants, and he stands as tall as a coconut tree. So he's around 20 to 25 meters tall. Baga also has a pet boar, as you can see here, whose name I hopefully pronounce correctly, Guehuek. Guehuek. Here you can see, that's Baga and his pet boar, Guehuek. Guehuek is not a normal boar though. He has curved tips at the end of his long tusks and piercing slant eyes the color of rust. Baga also has an interesting appearance. He has a rooster's head, as you can see here. He has a flowing cape, and he has a man's body and huge feet, like a very ugly beast. So there are some Subanen who have seen Baga, including Mahatigas, one of the priests. There was another named, he was a teacher, Cornelio Menor, who claimed he had seen not only Baga, but also his pet boar, Guehuek, in the 30s and 1930s. More on Baga in the next videos. So going back to Baga, the guardian giant of animals and wildflowers that lives in a waterfall at the heart of Lapuyan, there is a very contemporary story concerning him. So Baga sounds like actually a very cool giant. So he watches over animals and he cultivates wildflowers and orchids. He's basically a very good gardener giant. So yeah, so in that waterfall area, there are a lot of really beautiful flowers and orchids that are being watched by Baga. He's the plantito giant. So in this account, there were some tourists, Americans, who went to that area. So they started to pick the flowers and the orchids. Apparently, Baga is okay with people getting the flowers as long as it's to display them for their beauty. But these tourists were not doing that for any decorations. They just were picking them up wantonly and destructively. They stayed for some weeks, and they also brought pom-pom girls from Pagadian City to party in that place where Baga grows his flowers. So, once the partying was over, the Americans and the pom-pom girls got into their Toyota Land Cruiser to return to the city. All of a sudden, their car went out of control and started to jump over a high mound of earth. It flew over the barrier, which was too high for the car's normal engine to get over, and was starting to roll freely down the slope of the mountain. Then when the car approached the foot of the waterfall of Baga, it suddenly stopped. So the Americans were explaining and telling this story at the police station. They were blackened and bruised. It seems no one died though. They just had bruises and contusions. So the Subanen, having heard of what happened, surmised that it was Baga who had done this as a warning for anybody who came there to desecrate his flowers. Baga apparently gave them a rough time but did not kill them so that they could spread the warning. Another story on Baga in the next video. The other story about Baga concerns his pet boar, Guehuek. So there, you can see the pet boar over here, and that's Baga. So if you have a guardian giant who has a pet boar, then it's pretty common sense not to hunt that boar. So the Subanon, they know that illness will come to anyone who shoots at Guehuek. So there was a time wherein the datu of the Subanon, his name was Thimway Purok, and Thimway Purok had a brother, Lantay. So one day, Lantay went hunting by the waterfall and saw Guehuek, Baga's pet boar. Thimway Purok had prohibited anyone from hunting Guehuek, but Lantay was feeling puckish and he ignored it and shot at the pet boar with his Garand rifle. So Guehuek was shot but miraculously did not die. So then Lantay fell gravely ill, and at this point no one had known that he had shot Guehuek. So the Balyans, the priests, were called to check on Lantay and to try to cure him. And for hours and days, they really could not tell why he was sick because no one had known he had shot Guehuek. So the Balyan said, "Beg your pardon, great Datu," they said to Thimway Purok. After consulting with each other, we still don't know the cause of Thimway Lantay's illness. If we know the cause, then the cure will be easy. So finally, another Subanon, his name was Dilis. He was listening to everything and he was scared to disagree with the priests. But finally, he told Thimway Purok that he had seen Lantay shoot a huge wild boar by the waterfall. And then that's when they made the connection that the boar was Baga's pet, Guehuek. Lantay had shot Guehuek with a .30 caliber slug, which could have easily broken a tree, but the wild boar, Guehuek, did not show any sign of weakness or loss of agility. So it was just eating wild kamote, and then it got shot, and then it's as if nothing happened. So what happened next was that the Balyans, they cooked caldereta stew, goat caldereta, for Dato Purok as a way to say sorry that they couldn't figure it out. And then they begged Baga for his mercy. And with that, Lantay was cured. The seventh and last guardian giant is Phingi, the guardian giant of the Imbing clan. Phingi is a little different from the previous giants because he is a descendant of Thimway Mangura Imbing. So he's actually related to the people there. And it's said that he possessed the spirit of Balan, the legendary forefather of the Imbings. Although Balan was reputedly a cannibal. Balan's origin story is a little bit gruesome. So his mother died while she was pregnant with Balan, and the baby had survived by eating the bone marrow out of the thighs of his dead mother on the burial platform. Though these thigh bones became the source of his power because one thigh bone called Thilaybu was red and the other called Thialabened was white. And those bones can paralyze an enemy or transpose him helplessly to any place the possessor of these bones wished him to be. So the bones, though, were grinded a long time ago and were distributed to the leaders of the Imbing clan in order to pass on that power. So Phingi, the giant, has the spirit of Balan, and Phingi looks like a fisherman. He is strong, powerful, and he also has a pet like Mati, but his is a huge black dog instead of a boar like Mati. So, like the other giants, there are a lot of stories of Phingi protecting them. So the latest was in World War II, where the Subanon drove away Moros and Japanese. So the story was a boat full of Japanese soldiers landed in the barrio of Sunglupa in 1944. There were only 2 home guards to protect Lapuyan from the Japanese. One was shot and the other one fled. While fleeing, the home guard named Gavas was firing wildly at the Japanese soldiers, and suddenly they all retreated. Later on, another 2 home guards said that they heard continuous and voluminous firing from the ridge, as if there were 200 home guards firing at the Japanese. So they surmised that it was using the power of Balan spirit, Phingi had hypnotized the invading Japanese soldiers and had caused them to flee in fear. There's another story about what Phingi's powers are, that in the next video. So this is Phingi's second ability. Phingi is one of the guardian giants of the Subanen in Lapuyan. If you want to know more about him and his first ability, check the first video. So Phingi's second ability is pretty cool and pretty anime-like, I guess. Basically, he has the power to enter the body of the current leader of the Imbing clan, or that of an elder when danger becomes apparent. So basically, he can possess the current leader or an elder in order to give them extra power. The possessed person can travel long periods of time at very great speed and also not get lost even in the darkness. The chosen person who is possessed can also ride Phingi's black dog and also magically transpose himself to another village so his enemies will see him as if he were really there, but even though he had never left his own house. So basically, like, create an illusion of himself in order to scare the enemies, like what Luke Skywalker did in The Last Jedi. So through these powers, Phingi is able to protect the village through using the body of the leader of the current Imbing clan. So the author who wrote this book, Antonio Enriquez, had a conversation with the people the Subanen he was talking to. So here, he was asking, so this ability and these things only happened in bygone days? As if he was startled, he paused for a while and said, have you not noticed anything strange? He was currently talking to the Datu of Lapuyan, Datu Mangura. And the Datu said, observe now that the Subanons in the mountains are being threatened and sometimes even killed by bandits and Moros, and that there is trouble in the clan itself. And so, one of the elders, whose name I will not mention, has been chosen by Phingi. Oh, yes, you can tell this is so because the chosen one has been acting strangely, walking alone even in the mountains the whole night in the dark without a torch to guide his way. Just walking alone, restless here and there, and doing things he himself is sometimes not aware of. I mean, if you ask him what he was doing there in the mountains alone by himself, he could not answer you since he could not remember. And so, according to this book, this happens every once in a while when the village is threatened, and the chosen one would act in these strange ways and would do so until the troubles of the tribe in the mountains would go away, and the evil men sometimes even killed. For more videos on pre-colonial and indigenous Philippine culture, folklore, and mythology, subscribe to my YouTube channel and look for me on TikTok.